just in this episode, we're just going to be talking about how we feel about the course thus far, what our favourite modules are, maybe what we hope to do with what we learn. And okay, guys, introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Ioanna. I'm in the Interhacktives along with my colleague Hamza.
Hi, I'm Hamza. I'm from Pakistan, and I'm on this interactive course as well with Ioanna and Fergus, and I love it so far. It's really nice.
Yeah,
Better
definitely.
than my expectations.
What is your favourite thing about the course thus far, Hamza?
I really liked ethics,
Oh, yeah.
and I think Paul Lushmar is a wonderful teacher, so I loved the first term. And the ethics seminars in the second term were really fascinating, discussing different points of views with different people from different backgrounds. And we had a lot of engaging debates, so that's something I really liked in this term.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think ethics is often overlooked, but is very, very important for a journalist to have a good handle on.
Absolutely.
And of course, we don't all have the same ethics, but I think a basis in understanding of ethics is very important, of course.
Absolutely.
How about you, Ioanna? What are you enjoying the most thus far?
I think I have really enjoyed the patch reporting.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's you learned all the basic skills that a journalist must have.
Yeah.
You do all the groundwork. You do local reporting, which is how journalists traditionally used to start.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also liked media law.
Okay.
Because it's I feel more confident now that I know the law, and
Yeah, it's sort of terrifying, isn't it? The constant threat of maybe you're breaking a law or another.
Although, it was true that I had become a bit paranoid those days that I was studying.
Studying it, like second guessing every single thing you write down.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, what if I get sued for defamation, or this is a breach of copyright, or
Mm-hmm.
No, it's interesting you mentioned patch reporting actually, because that's probably the thing I struggle with the most.
Mm-hmm.
I just really didn't take to it. It was incredibly useful, and it's probably taught me stuff I need to take into account a bit more often. But patch reporting is obviously very, very important.
Unfortunately, you need to start and build your contacts.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't do it from day one. You need to build trust. Well,
I also think that one of the big things we're learning on our interactive specific course is the use of social media tools. Mm-hmm. And I found that through using things like TweetDeck and lists and stuff like that, it made the patch reporting much easier, in my opinion. I don't know if that's your guys' experience or...
Yes, I think social media has been a very good tool, not only to find stories, but also to publish stories. Yeah. And it's the way we can share our stories with the world, get feedback on it really quickly. Sure. And journal requests have worked well for us on social media, so I think that is also one of the ways journalists can use social media specifically.
Yeah, journal requests, if in case anyone is unclear, there's a function there's a page on Twitter that retweets every instance of someone using the hashtag journal requests. So that's good for finding sources for information or finding journalists to talk to about things like that. A very, very useful tool. If you are a journalist and you're listening, that's definitely something I want to look into. I found, but one pitfall I often found with social media is I think it's easy to over rely on it. Yeah.
And many experienced journalists, they don't like social media that much. Or some experienced journalists, like Nick Robinson from BBC. Okay. You remember when he came to talk to us? He said, Twitter is not journalism. You can't sit on a laptop and do journalism.
I agree. I definitely take your point, but I think his point was maybe not perfectly expressed, but I think his point was you can't only be a Twitter journalist.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think he was referring to people that over rely on social media and forget that at the end of the day you still need to go out there and talk to people. It has worked very well for me. When I was doing patch reporting, I had an account which was dedicated to my patch, and I posted stories there, and also I used it to find leads, and it worked. And then when I had things published, then I used my other Twitter account to tweet about them and get people to read them.
Oh, yeah. I often found, just keeping on this social media thread, I think that was my first exposure to how mistrustful people can potentially be of journalists, because I'd often, let's say, direct message someone or like tweet someone, and they distance themselves from me almost immediately as soon as they found I was a journalist. Is that your guys' experience as well, or?
Well, I think yes, it shapes the experience of many journalists, because we studied the Press Gazette statistics, which said 26 or 27% of people trust journalists in the UK.
Yeah.
That was lower than estate agents. So this is where we stand in the trust hierarchy, in this country especially. So people think that journalists, or many journalists, they push fake news, or if they have certain disagreements, they think that this journalist can't be trusted. And this is something we should consider as new journalists who are entering this industry. How can we gain back the trust of audiences? Because if only 1 in 4 people trust us, I think we've been doing something wrong, and we have to correct it. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree. Well, for me, my experience with people mistrusting journalists was not on social media. It was when I was actually trying to talk to them.
On the streets, as it were.
On the street, yeah, and they saw that, oh, she's actually a journalist, and oh my God, she's recording a video on her phone.
Yeah, throwing a camera up in someone's face does tend to...
Like, imagine if I had a proper camera.
Yeah.
On social media, I found Facebook very useful. Facebook groups, which is something that sometimes is overlooked.
I mean, personally, I really don't like using Facebook.
I agree.
Yeah.
But professionally, it has a lot to offer.
You have a particularly, you're quite involved in the whole journalistic Facebook game, as it were. Hamza, is there any insights or any experiences with that you'd be interested in exploring?
Yes, absolutely. I think Facebook is a very good way to connect with people and to tell stories. And I use not only Facebook, but all social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I'm not that well with TikTok, but I'll familiarize myself with it. But Facebook in particular, I think since it has most of our friends and our social network on it, I think it's a good way to share your work, to gain feedback on your work, even to get challenged sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you do is not liked by the audiences. So it's a very nice way to know how audiences react
For sure.
To your work. And this is why I use Facebook actively. Like, I post multiple times a day, stories, posts,
Indeed.
And everything. And I think it has helped me build my profile as a journalist.
For sure. And I think it's interesting you mentioned having more criticism on Facebook, because I think as someone who uses Twitter quite a lot, but isn't so good at Facebook, I think Twitter does, and I think people are right when they say Twitter is an echo chamber. And I think as a journalist, you get so used to hearing the same sorts of critiques, I suppose, until you get to a certain level, but the same sorts of critiques at my level, because it's just the people who follow me, and it's just the people who are suggested from the Twitter algorithms, and that's the only people who see my content. And I think it's very interesting that Facebook offers you a more open avenue to stuff like that. In terms of so obviously we also have a large data component to our module. Are you guys enjoying that particularly? Are you finding it enlightening?
In my case, because I came from a technical background,
Yes.
My experience is different. It's stuff that I already know how to code.
Yeah.
Although the most interesting part for me is data analysis itself.
Yes.
So, like, what we learn that it's closer to data science.
Yes. Yeah.
And clean data, which part of it I already knew from my work experience, but now it's more focused, and we have more real examples in journalism.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. I mean, I definitely agree. particularly in the first half of the year, a lot of what we were focusing on was the FT visual vocab and the mechanics of the data itself and how to use data rather than how to code it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think if you're coming from a background knowing how to code, then I suppose one is going to be far more useful than the other.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you know how to code, you know how to query databases or
That's
use
true.
APIs. But the visualization part, especially, the FT vocabulary, as you mentioned, and how to create interactive maps, all this is new and exciting.
Yes, definitely. And who is that? Alberto Cairo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we learned a series of very, very helpful resources for not just for the creation of graphs and plots and stuff like that, but for the interpretation. And I think that's one big thing I've learned here is not to. I mean, I knew this on some level, but to not always trust a graph as soon as you see it.
Yeah.
Because having made some probably very misleading graphs, I know how to do that, and I think that it can quite easily mislead, for sure.
But it's interesting how easy it is to visualize data using R.
For sure.
And in just a few minutes or with a few lines of code, we can build maps, we can color it the way we want to, we can make bar charts, all kinds of visualization tools. And this is because I come from a very non-technical background.
Same.
So when I started coding, I was pretty shook up. I felt I couldn't do it. But I think with our professors, especially Glyn Watershead, I'd like to give him a shout out. He's a wonderful professor.
Indeed.
And he's taught me to code well, and he's given me the confidence that I can code.
Yes.
So I think that is very important when you're learning something new.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from an interestingly non-technical background. I'm a theatre graduate, but I did lots of stage lighting and sound and stuff like that, but never coding. And I think it's surprising if you are willing to put the work in and if you take to it quite well. I think that coding can be, I mean, in my experience, it was very, very quick to learn. R, I think, although yes, is limited in certain ways, I think for what it does, it's quite intuitive after a certain point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And when you start coding, it's very important to see the results of your work very easily.
Yeah.
Even if you build something very simple, see it making complete and seeing out there. It's very rewarding.
Definitely. I mean, I remember making my first ggplot graph and being over the moon, and I showed my brother, who's he's an economic analyst, and I showed my brother, and he was like, "Yeah, I can do that on Excel in like 15 minutes." And I was like, "But it's the principle of the thing."
It's not the same.
It isn't the same. No, yeah. It's staggering the amount that you can. Sorry, I'm peeking a bit there. It's staggering the amount that you can. Just the amount you can change and the amount of customization you have. And also another cool thing is that the BBC they publicly released their style. They have a whole R library, and you can make your own BBC style graphs, which we experimented with. I think it was last week or the week before.
I think it was last week.
Yes, yeah. So it's an incredibly versatile. It's already used in the newsroom. It's very, very. It's a skill that this course teaches you in spades, which is very, very employable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only for interhacktives and financial students, the advanced data encoding module.
Yes, I think some other students can take beginner's data.
Data journalism.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yeah. Not beginner's data. Data 101. Yeah. You go. No, Hamza, you go. It's fine.
Okay. Also, I was thinking that this course is like a very complete guide to be a journalist, because we cover so many different subjects like news stories, features, and in features, profile pieces, first-person pieces, issue features, all kinds of news stories. Then we get familiarized with the law of this country, what we can say, what we can't say, what the libel laws are. So, when I started this course, I didn't even know the format of a news story, to be honest. But now since I started, I've written maybe 30 or 40 news stories for different publications. And I would say that this course in particular gave me the confidence to to tell stories in a more meaningful way, but not only in a meaningful way, but in a truthful, honest, and sincere way as well.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good. That's important.
I agree. It's a complete course.
Yeah.
It teaches you everything. You get your specialized knowledge in data and social media, but you also learn how to write a news story, learn your ethics, learn your law.
Yeah. And I think from my experience of that anyway, is that I have a very good understanding of what I think I'm good at, and that means I know how to pivot myself going forward for what kinds of careers and what kinds of jobs I want. But at the same time, I have enough skills in a variety of different things that I'm not limited, which is very, very handy. Just me myself, I much more enjoy the social media work and the multimedia work that we do. But I'm sure the two of you have completely different ambitions and completely different strengths in what you want to do. I mean, or not. You are all on the podcast, so that would tend to imply something.
I like video.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first term when we had to shoot a video for our social media and multimedia course. So this is something, that I would like to pursue further.
Very nice. I think what I really liked in this course was when our professors used to say that we should be confident enough to meet people and to make connections and to increase our network. I think that is something I really worked hard on. And it's like you were mentioning Patch earlier, Ioanna. I think that is one of those things which really helps us develop our inner contacts in our small ward. So we get to know the councillor, we get to know the local policeman, we get to know the local shopkeeper. I even interviewed homeless people in my patch. So I think that's the key skill for a journalist, I think, is to be able to connect with people.
For sure.
If people should be comfortable enough to not only talk to you, but tell their innermost secrets and stories which they think should be shared with the world. So I think this is something I've really taken from this program in particular.
Definitely. I think, as we've said before, I think that this course teaches you I think that this course teaches you you become a sort of a Swiss Army knife with plenty of different skills at your belt and things that you can use, without mixing my metaphors too much. But no, it's plenty of different avenues to pursue, and it gives you a smorgasbord of what you might be interested in, but also the ability to keep pursuing throughout your entire life, really, all of these other things you could do if you wanted to. I mean, I don't have any particular interest in, for example, being a political reporter, but we do a whole module in political headlines. I don't have any particular interest in being a news agency reporter at something like PA or something like that, but again, I probably could, given the skills that I've learned here. I think it's all a matter of what you want to take from the course and how you choose to apply what you've taken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I agree. I was reading stories of journalists, like, for example, political journalists.
Yes.
And they didn't start out thinking that that's what they wanted to do, but they ended up there, they enjoyed it.
Definitely.
And now they're at the lobby.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've been to the lobby for our political headlines module. And I'd also like to thank Barney Jones, who taught us that module. He introduced us to Jeremy Corbyn. How ridiculous is that?
I'm so upset that I missed that. I was just ever so slightly late, and I missed it completely. But it sounded amazing.
Yeah, he was carrying coffee for his team.
Yeah,
and
that's nice.
When he came, we were so shy. Like he asked us for a suggestion for a PMQ, and we were like so awestruck by the leader of the opposition of the country. But this is also a lesson for future journalists that don't lose your confidence when you meet a big politician. They're just regular people.
They're just people, yeah.
And they're answerable to the people, and we can represent the people by asking the questions people want to hear the answers to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a good point, actually. They're answerable to people.
Absolutely.
We're their boss, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap up. We've gone over just ever so slightly, but that's fine. You can always just cut things out. But,
Yeah.
No, this is it's like an informal little chat, so we'll see where they go with that. Okay, closing remarks. Final question. What are you both having for dinner tonight? There we go.
Okay, I will start. I don't know.
Fair enough. I have no idea either. Probably just a sandwich. And you, Hamza?
I'm going to my uncle's office, so I'll have dinner with him. Most probably a Turkish mixed grill, something like that.
Fun, delicious. Very, very jealous. Again, going home to an empty house, so cooking nothing. Thank you very much for agreeing to appear on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, no worries. And so the next episode we should have is going to be back to our hopefully more regular format. We have a few things lined up. Also, Grace will be back with us for the interview sections. Keep tuned in. Keep listening and looking at your RSS feeds and your podcasting apps. We'll be there. You just have to find us. And we hope to see you, or rather, I've done this last time. We hope you hear from us in the not too distant